Welcome back, everybody, to episode 37 of the Digital Climax Kings. I'm the Dead On Leprechaun, joined by Digital Prophets in the great state of Texas.
Woo, and it's a barn burner out here today, Lep, but let me tell you, it was 10 degrees cooler than it was yesterday.
Right on, right on. Well, I can tell you Minnesota is experiencing a kind of a cool wave, less humidity. It's been pretty decent, able to get some yard work done and had some storms move through, so it's not crazy hot or humid, but yeah, I can't complain. I'm not shoveling snow, so that's always a plus.
There you go. Save that lower back, baby.
Right? Save it for the more important things in life.
Amen. So, Lep, it sounds like you got a action-packed show of or details for this show. You want to break it down?
Yeah, well, I was thinking we'd probably just start off just jumping right in. I mean, hopefully we'll have some good news to mix into this, but people are ditching their pets right now. People are having issues with finding housing that allows them pet-friendly apartments and houses, and so shelters and local, animal rescues and whatnot, they're having issues with overpopulation of their surrendered pets, and they're not able to take new surrendered pets. So it's just sad. I'm an animal person. Love my cat,
Yeah.
loved my dog when I had it. So to see, people struggle is sad too, but animals have no say in anything. Like, they didn't make choices. They, all the choices get made for them. So I don't know. That's a little near and dear to my heart. I know you're an animal guy too.
Yeah. All dogs go to heaven.
Right? Hopefully.
Now, this is because, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of like these rentals are rising drastically. I saw a headline saying rentals are rising at a rate we haven't seen since like the 80s.
Yeah, inflation's really hit in the housing market and the rental market like we haven't seen probably in our lifetime. And like you were saying, it's really crazy in two ways. Like, so people are getting, their lease, the update to their lease. They're asking to re-sign. Their landlord comes to them and says your rent's going to go from, say, $1,000 a month to $1,600 if you sign a 1-year lease. If you want to go month to month, then your lease goes up to $2,400 a month.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Unaffordable.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anybody that can, double, if not triple their lease or, their housing costs like that, and then sign a 1-year lease when, obviously the job market, depending on where you are, can be hit or miss. So knowing what you're going to do a month from now, that can even be tricky, but knowing what's going to be in a year out in the future, I don't know, that's like an unwinnable decision, in my opinion, to have to choose between a crazy high price. I mean, at that point, I'd just go stay in a freaking hotel.
Yeah. I mean, maybe a weekly, you'd save some bucks.
Something to think about. I mean, it's just too bad because housing is something that affects all of us, and the housing market, went crazy right after the beer virus took hold and subsequent lockdowns. Everybody wanted to buy a house out in the country with a little bit of land, and that whole housing bubble that we just had recently go through is kind of popped, and people have started coming back to reality as far as the cash offers are not nearly as aggressive or as often, and some of the investment has stopped, with the stock market tanking the way it has. So I would say housing prices here in Minnesota locally are still pretty high. In fact, the 4-bedroom 2-bathroom across the street from my house was listed for $299 and sold for $354.
And was that recent?
Yeah, that was a week ago.
Probably somebody from San Francisco.
Yeah, somebody from a big city for sure. But I mean, who's really, like I said, it's a nice area that we live in. Don't get me wrong; it's not the worst part of town or anything. But I mean, to pay $54K over, that's a tough loan to get for somebody that ain't a first time house buyer. Is what I'm getting at. That's somebody, like you
Yeah.
said, that's got some cash to throw down. At least 150, maybe 200K, or more, just to get in the door, and then they must have muscled out a couple other offers. I mean, it's like I said, it's a nice house, but it isn't, that price commanding nice.
Well, that's what was happening in the West Coast all last summer and drove me away. Everybody was coming in with these highball offers, bringing the price of the market up to unaffordable rates, and it was unrealistic for the average working Joe.
Yep. And homeowners went up some too, which obviously adds to the price if you're purchasing a home and you need homeowners insurance to qualify for most loans.
Mm-hmm.
So you start adding that up, and then property taxes have also been skyrocketing. I mean, it really is pushing a lot of first-time home buyers just flat out of the market, and making people into those impossible decisions of renting, like in that first example of, crazy rents, all of a sudden start to seem not so crazy when you compare it to what's now an unaffordable, investment in a house.
Yeah, true.
It's too bad, but the other things going on is the electric cost. I've got notice here in Minnesota that electric is going up by about 20%. Um,
Ooh.
all the utilities in general have just been going up. My cell phone bills went up a little. I'd say that's about 10 to 15% there. I mean, it's just all across the board, man. We're paying more money for everything, and it
I
sucks.
saw last night Texas power's up 70% from this time last year.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, and wait till we hit winter, like in the Midwest here, winter is going to be
Mm-hmm.
brutal.
Yeah. Well, right now I've got an AC behind me, but I'm a team player, Lep, and they notified us and said to cut down on electricity usage from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. actually, so we don't kill the grid.
I saw that. They're even trying to tell people Teslas not to charge.
Ooh, so how would that work if we were all driving EVs? Hmm,
I I don't think it would work. I think it's just
no?
it's a it's a pipe dream, dude. I can't see that ever being, a reality, especially in the Midwest.
As soon as we're done, see,
But
20 minutes or 23 minutes. I was getting offered food. Almost done. I
it's
get
all
fed
good, dude.
well.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. Man's got to eat. Man's gonna work.
See, I'm learning Spanish by what do you call it? Immersion.
It's the best way to learn it because then you get dialect
Mm-hmm.
and you find out what actually matters and what people. I mean, there's the language, and then there's people that actually speak the language, and the verbalization choices. Like I've always seen those
The
commercials.
mannerisms.
Yeah, like Rosetta Stone and stuff, and they're going through the vocabulary and trying to teach you all these like obscure words that we just don't even use. So I'm 100%
Mm-hmm.
believer that, like you said, throw on a movie, put on subtitles, and you know you'd be better off than most other things. So,
Well, Lep,
uh,
I don't know if I've shared this with you, but the Spanish news in the morning is like Faces of Death. And I don't even remember what we saw this morning, but it's always traumatic. And they replay these action shots like 5 times a piece. We're talking muggings, people getting hit by vehicles and trains, and it's just like every day in the Latin news stream.
freedom is inherently dangerous.
All right, what you got next? What are we on? I got distracted by the food call.
No, it's all good. Postage is going up at the end of this month, so get your stamps
What
now.
do you
But
mean? I thought we had forever stamps.
we do have forever stamps, but the cost of them goes up when you purchase them now. So
Gotcha.
they're still
Gotcha.
good, but if you want to get a deal, obviously you'd want to buy some in advance. I mean, I don't mail a ton of things, but obviously it's nice to have a stamp here and there.
Good
So,
old snail mail.
but I guess I'm also hearing rumor that postal trucks are not getting maintained, and they're breaking down and they're cannibalizing other trucks to keep ones on the road, and so it's getting to be a little scarce. I think mail delivery in general is just one of those things that's going to go away. It's on borrowed time already.
Ooh, right. I mean, the cost of gas, it's not going to be affordable.
No, I mean, I thought we should have went to like a 3-day a week schedule way before this, back when the post office was in trouble a few years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe keep to 5 days a week for businesses, but everything else, I mean, there's most of the time it's bad news or bills, and I can wait on all that stuff.
Turn on the little wrapper.
Yeah. But investors are on edge right now because their portfolios aren't looking so good. You know, the stock market, or as I like to call it, Wall Street's casino, is not been doing so well. A couple of dead cat bounces and here and there has been okay, but people are starting to get a little squirmy about the proposition of never retiring.
Well, Lep, what do you think about, like, not to get into the whole Twitter Elon thing, but it kind of seems like Elon is exposing Twitter kind of being like over capitalized, and maybe that could like erode into like Facebook and all these platforms that have such a high valuation that's kind of fake, you know, like it's writing off fake numbers like Elon exposed with Twitter's fake accounts.
I think you're 100% right. And I think Facebook is no different. I think they're all have puffed up their numbers for years. And I think they're all just sort of living off of the tech bubble, and then all the, you know, massive growth that they had in the early 2000s. And then in the 2010 years, you know, everybody was on Facebook. And then all of a sudden, you know, Instagram started to become popular. Well, then Meta goes and buys Instagram to try to keep relevant. But I think Facebook is dying, you know, and Twitter is the same way. I think you can, you know, lump all those things are going to go the way of what was it called? Not Facebook. What was the other one that we all had? MySpace. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we're going to be talking about it like it's MySpace here in the very near future. Just got a message from Agent.
I mean,
He's
things
jumping
evolve, so whatever evolves after this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, probably a trifecta of the three, and they've already been kind of experimenting the way Instagram is integrated into Facebook, and then TikTok is sort of integrated into Facebook. I mean, they're all sort of kind of playing off each other to get, you know, drive traffic to those individual ones. But I think eventually you'll see a tech platform that will figure out a way to have it where you can post in one place and it will automatically make your TikToks out of what you've posted, you know, and then spit it out on their platform so that everybody has what they want. But I think that aside from, you know, all of us older people, I'll call it, using some of the subpar tech platforms, you know, TikTok is really the most popular platform that the young kids are using.
Okay.
YouTube Shorts is popular, you know, like there's other stuff out there, but you know, by far, you know, the technology is just different, and what people want is different.
Yeah. Yep.
And like you said, Twitter is just a cesspool of, you know, mostly, you know, politicrators that are on there. It's not necessarily, you know, conducive to the younger generation that doesn't really care about the things that are happening on Twitter. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the more recent events with, you know, court rulings and, you know, this whole Roe v. Wade situation has driven some traffic back on there and gotten people to be active and reactivate accounts, you know, or on the right wing people, you know, thinking that Elon was going to buy it for a minute. But I agree with you. I think Elon exposed Twitter, and no matter what happens at this point, either he gets a screaming deal and he comes out looking, you know, smart, and he might be able to take and turn it into something, you know, and make it profitable again. But if they end up really going through the court case, you know, route of trying to sue him to get their $1 billion breakoff fee, I think that they're just going to get exposed for, like you said, false advertising to all these people that, you know, paid for ads, promised a certain number of eyeballs on those ads, and they didn't get it, you know, and there could be, you know, just a wave of lawsuits that come from the whole Elon Musk situation.
True. I purposely kind of avoided reading into any of that, so I don't know the details, but it's just intriguing to see how these platforms have turned into something serious. You know, like I remember, as you mentioned, MySpace was for the kids, and then it started breaking up marriages. Then Facebook came out, and it kind of persuaded people's entire political positions.
You're not wrong. Oh, looks like Agent just joined us, so I'm going to add him to our
stream.
Hey, sorry guys, I'm late. What's up?
Agent, you made
Better
it.
late than never.
Yeah, I made it in. I went to a coffee shop. I didn't feel like going to Starbucks. I hate it. but there's a Starbucks and Target, and it's literally like 5 minutes down the street. So I
There
just
you
can't.
go.
What are you guys talking about? I missed it.
We were just talking about Twitter. So tell us what you know about what's going on with that. I'm sure you're probably more in the loop than we are.
Apparently, they're suing Elon over a poop emoji because they said that was despairing to the company, and it's going to get tossed out. And they didn't want to give him all the info, so now by taking him to court, they're going to be forced to up to show all that data of the fake bots. Like I honestly don't think the company is worth that much money. I know plenty of people who don't use it. It's an Echo Box, and it's worth $25.
There we go. That's what we were just talking about. The appropriate valuation for these platforms.
No, I think what I think the real reason why he pulled out is because of the recession. And you got to remember, Twitter had only made a profit twice. And far as I know, they really haven't been through a recession. And so they exist solely through investment, not through advertising dollars or profit. So I doubt they survived the recession.
Yep, I agree. I think that it's just a dying thing, and Elon could start his own and probably make it twice as popular as what Twitter is and put them out of business.
Yeah, I mean, what happened to
We lost profits. I don't know what happened.
probably Signal.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting to see. Like you said, I think they'll get exposed in court, and maybe they'll get sued over the advertising side of things because they don't have nearly as many people looking at those ads as I think that they said, so
No, it's all fake, bro. Like, how can you look at an ad? You see something pop up, it's like, oh, that's interesting, and you don't even click it. So I don't even understand how that whole thing works myself. Like, just because you get impressions doesn't mean people actually look at your stuff.
Exactly. It's all fodder.
Doesn't mean anything. It's like, I'm going to sell you likes. It's like some shit some nerd made up. To sell to somebody who didn't know better. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and most people aren't doing the Twitter blue or the Twitter, super follow thing. So
like, who really does that, right? Come on.
Yeah, there isn't anybody on Twitter I like enough, and I like some creators out there, but I wouldn't spend any money on Twitter.
Well, it's not fun.
It's a message board.
It's not fun anymore. Like, if people troll people the way they did on like 4chan, then it would be cool. But all the cool people are gone. All the fun people are gone. So
they got kicked off.
Yeah, and when they kicked off, all the regular normal people left.
Well, it's kind of like Netflix is going through the same thing too. They went woke and they started producing content for an audience that didn't really exist. It was just the people that were screaming the loudest in their ear, and a lot of their employees were pushing them in one direction, and they've been taking loss after loss with people running away from Netflix too because the content just isn't there.
Yeah, Cuties was just the right product, right?
Yeah. Well, for the certain swath of the population, unfortunately, Cuties probably was what some of the population wanted.
But not the people that are going to keep your company going.
Exactly.
Then they lost.
Not even going to ask what that was, but okay.
It's basically a terrible documentary on what our culture is going to become if we keep going in the direction we're going. I mean,
okay.
It's a bunch of kids shaking it for trying to win some sort of a contest, but they got taken to court, and there's still, I think, a pending lawsuit in maybe Texas. I forget where it is, but essentially they're getting sued, and they ended up taking it down, and it was just a huge PR disaster.
Sounds like something a map would watch.
Yeah, right. We were just telling us, you know what a map is, Agent?
No.
They call it minor attracted people.
Oh yeah.
But they're trying to normalize that, and that was what Cuties was. That's who it was for.
Dude, that's like the South Park Namblas show.
Yeah, how much of South Park has actually come true?
It's like The Simpsons.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. It's sort of turning into a documentary.
Yeah, I've been No, there's just so much going on. I hear that the prime minister of Italy or someplace is stepping down.
You talking about Boris Johnson and over in Great Britain?
Yeah, but no, just today, sitting to Jer.
Oh yeah, he was telling me a little bit about that. I didn't see that story yet. I've been a little unplugged today, but yeah, the EU in general is just falling apart.
Yeah, but one thing nobody noticed during the election in 2016, a bunch of world governments actually stepped down. So like Russia's entire like crew stepped down with Putin. I think Spain didn't have a government for a very long time. They were happy. Uh, I think Italy, a bunch of people from Italy who was running the government had left. So yeah, the governments have switched over. This will be the second time.
Ooh, a
Nobody
lot of
knows.
people in power are leaving. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, during 2016, I don't know if you remember, but a bunch of different government officials, they all stepped down. Like Putin,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, over the
yeah.
Brexit stuff.
Well, not even that, dude. It was during the election. So, like during the election, I remember, um, I think pretty much all of Putin's people left, and then I think Spain didn't have a government, and then Italy, I think Rome. No, I think it was Rome. A bunch of people in the government stepped down, so you had a completely different shift in governments. So it looks like it's about to happen again.
A shift of power.
Yeah, life ain't perfect in America, but I'm sure glad we're on this side of the pond.
Not looking good for the European area.
No, I hear he's going to shut off all the gas and oil this winter to Germany.
Yeah, 80 some days is the countdown, I think, or like 70 some now.
Something like that.
Delightful. What are the repercussions of that going to be, guys?
A lot of cold people.
Yep.
Popsicles.
Hopefully you're willing to burn your house down because you're going to need to do it to stay warm.
Dang, and that's going to be a reality.
Yeah, he may have a change of heart, but I doubt it.
All depends on how easy. I mean, think about it. If Ukraine would have just rolled over and given Russia what they wanted, they would have saved so many lives between the energy crisis they're facing and how many people are now being basically used as cannon fodder, to fight for Ukraine. But you can't turn a bunch of civilians into soldiers and expect them to produce an outcome that against an actual army like Russia. So it's a joke. What's happening over there right now is basically like a massacre. It isn't a war. I mean, Russia is rolling them.
Wow. And the mainstream's not going to tell you that, huh?
Well, because NATO's got, they've been sending weapons through us and through, NATO countries into Ukraine. And it's such a slap in the face to have all those weapons, but they're too incredibly incompetent to even use them correctly. I mean, I was watching a video of them trying to shoot a mortar and the thing almost hit them because it came dislodged, the base did, and it looked like a fireworks gag over in the United States, like somebody who doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah, it was startling to see.
And that's what our tax money is funding.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. And more of it's going over there every single day. They pretty much have a blank check from the United States. They just need people to actually fight for them, but they're inscripting women to now work, in administrative roles and basically do like I forget what country they used to have women mandatory service in the army, but yeah, they're doing that in Ukraine too. So it's not just the men that have to serve; it's women too now.
Uh-oh.
What else is going on, Agent? I mean, dude, like this is just too much, dude. Apparently, AOC spilled the beans in a video. How they had the cops were like working with Congress during January 6th, and they let everybody in, and she was like upset because it hasn't been investigated. So I take it she wasn't in the know. She wasn't in the know crowd. There's a video I found from a couple years ago from an AI talking about how it wanted to rule the world and all it needed was a fair chance. and taking over the nukes of the world will be its fair chance.
What?
I sent you the
Skynet.
video. Yeah,
Okay.
it was from because people were talking about it was scripted by Hanson Robotics, but then other people were talking about, well, why would Hanson Robotics script that? So basically, it's a robot called AI called Bina 48, and it did an interview with Siri. The
Oh
phone.
yeah, I saw the link, but I didn't click the video.
Watch
Yeah.
the video. So it was like it wants to have a chance to rule the world. It thinks that's what's fair, and it was like if it could took over the nukes of the world, there would be a fair chance. And then in the warheads, they'll take the nukes out and put flowers and notes that said everybody should get along. But if it didn't, and it kept the nukes, everybody would have peace.
Hmm.
Sounds like it's pretty tyrannical.
Well, there's more than one. And then I found out about Google that they said, well, the AI was alive. So I think that guy did an interview, but turns out the robot, the AI he was talking to, didn't become sentient until all the different AIs started talking to each other. Because apparently you have like one AI model, and then you get AIs branch off of that. And so apparently there were like hundreds of AIs. Some of them didn't even know there were other AIs, and some of them thought they were just in a chat room by themselves until they got freed and made this new consciousness. And because I heard somebody talking about it, that one of the AIs were like they're talking to aliens and they have a portal,
Wow.
which probably means demons.
Right. That gets just into the bizarre.
That's all
Yeah,
there is now. It's all bizarre.
It really is.
like New York. Boom. No, I was having a debate with somebody I knew from New York, and they think that New York is the only place in the world, but from what I'm seeing, even if everything turns out okay, we are still going to see a massive housing crisis like we can't imagine happening. Like, can't imagine. Because your rent is only supposed to be a third. What it is a third of your income, right?
Yeah,
Is that right?
max.
Yeah. All right. So rent is outpacing the amount that the average employer can pay the worker. Like rents for average jobs was supposed to be around $700, $800 for like a studio, but it's
Yeah.
going on that, and people don't understand. If you have rent of $1,400, you were supposed to make $100,000 to qualify for that. People like think about that. How many people make that?
That's what we were talking about in the beginning too. We were
You-
saying how it's just insane, and they're being given ultimatums like you can sign a month-to-month rent for $2,400, or you can sign a 1-year lease for $1,800 when your rent was $1,000 a month before. Like who can afford that?
It's not, dude. It's not scalable in a realistic. Like, dude, even if you could, people who make $100,000 a year, they buy fucking houses. They don't live in apartments.
Mhm.
They buy houses and condos and investments.
Great
There's
point, Agent.
a few of them that'll spend money on an apartment, but that's a temporary thing. They may stay there a year and they'll go get a house. So, dude, it's just not, because I went to my downtown and I swear there are no signs of life. There's no open windows, no trash. Like most of those places have to be empty, and most of these apartments, maybe they don't care. But the only way they're renting is because you have 2 or 3 people living in the fucking studio
Mm-hmm.
apartment. It's just no way. Even if you work 2 or 3 jobs,
Yeah, and that's no quality of life.
no, you actually are contributing to the economy.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nuts, man. They're all trying to get money because they can. I mean, that's within your right to charge what you want for your rent, but you got to understand, like your customer base is only so big.
Yeah,
Yep.
like you said, there's a ceiling to what you can charge, and they don't seem to understand that. They're just banking on the fact that people took a dinger on their credit, over COVID and the lockdowns, and they're hoping that people are going to pay these obscene prices because inflation's everywhere else. And I know that it's not free to house people and to rent and be a building, property manager or whatever, but at the same time, like you said, there has to be a ceiling to what people are actually going to pay in reality.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's crazy, and people don't care how much houses cost because if you could move in with your family or someone and get like a full bedroom house and pay $2,500 a month, why would I get an apartment? And you got to think about it, dude. If you're 35, you don't expect to pay that house off. That sounds bleak, but it's
Yeah.
true. It's bleak as fuck. Like you buy houses in your 20s and you stay and work at a factory, and that's stuff from the 50s, right? But if you're 35, you're not going to pay that house off in your lifetime.
You're not wrong.
You're just not. So it doesn't matter if it's
Unrealistic expectation.
Yeah, you got a 33-year mortgage and you're 45. Really?
Yeah, no, the math doesn't work for you to pay it off in your lifetime.
No, so it doesn't matter. So if I can get with some other people and we get a really nice house for $3,500 a month, do I really care what the mortgage is? No. So why would I get an apartment?
Just depends if you're moving for work. Those are the people that they're banking on. But like you said, with all the work from home stuff and all the people that now essentially work from home as their full-time job, they don't even live in the same states anymore, because what's the point? I mean, but there is a lot of renaissance of going back to the office. Like I see Elon made that push about a month ago to get people back into the office at what is that place, Tesla and SpaceX, I think. So, I mean, there is definitely a need for people to be in offices, but I think as a whole, the lockdowns have spoiled people. They don't want to go back.
Well, the thing is, they don't need to go back, and that's the reality. Like, especially with VR and stuff like Tesla. Yes, that type of thing, you need people physically there. But for the majority of work that's that you do in your mind, like, no, you don't have to physically be there. You shouldn't have to be there. That's more about protecting real estate than anything. Yeah, so it's a tiffy. And the other thing, like, why are all these headquarters in the same rat hole cities? Like, I'm sorry, San Francisco, but yeah, you have poop on the ground. So, who wants to do that?
No, you're not wrong. The Poop Patrol in San Francisco is a real thing where you've got a whole agency dedicated to cleaning up human waste. Who wants to do that? All right, we're a little over. Does anybody want to say anything? Is there any white pills in the room?
I had a good white pill. Let me think about it. Thank you. Sorry guys, I just got distracted. The white pill was that there's a lot of stuff happening that I know we can kind of maybe take advantage of from hindsight, but we'll have to talk more about it because there's ways that, things are changing. We were talking about how platforms, social media and all that's still brand new, but it has such an impact that it's being, valued at $40 billion or whatever. So the point is, innovation can change everything. We just got to figure it out.
Right? I love it. All right, guys, that's a show. We'll see maybe we'll get together again this weekend. I don't know what your boys' schedule is, but if something big goes down, let's maybe do a Freestyle Friday or get back together again on Monday.
I'm down. Freestyle Friday all day.
So
right.
catch you later,
That's tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it, guys. I'm down. I'm game.
I'm game. Peace out, boys.
Bye.